Looks like we got some more details on Apple's upcoming headset. This is supposedly their next big marketplace, I suppose, outside of the potential for the car. And originally we talked about how they seem to have this big emphasis on augmented reality, but not really much of a play in virtual reality. Well, we have this image, this drawing, as well as some new information or some more confirmation from those close to the matter of what this thing might actually be. Virtual reality, hardware potentially inspired from the AirPods Max, which I was just talking about on an unbox therapy video. So maybe some similar textures and materials in there, and a super high-end price tag, most likely. Apple expecting to sell 1 unit per day per store, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's speculation. Again, part of the reports, people close to the matter. And the reason for the high price tag, suspected to be around $3,000, is the inclusion of 2 8K displays.
In each eye.
8K for each eye.
Whoa.
That is insane. That is a crazy amount of resolution, and it actually could lead to some problems with processing power. You know, trying to render 8K times 2 in a dedicated headset where the processing has to take place in the headset.
Well, they got those M1s, right?
They got M1s. They got silicon going,
Yeah.
flying. Actually, the claim here is that they're going to utilize some special tech that brings into focus only what is directly in front of the panel. The peripheral is actually going to down-res because you don't need it anyway. So they'll find a way to bring the resolution where your eye is looking based on eye tracking.
Cool.
This would be like if you were playing a game on your monitor and it brought the resolution only where your eyes were looking,
Yes.
so you could get a higher frame rate.
Yes.
Whoa! Dynamic eye tracking resolution.
Well, 8K display would be amazing.
8K is a monster, especially inches from your eyes. I mean, you're obviously a VR guy. You were messing around with the various Facebook products, Oculus Quest, and you definitely didn't have that resolution in there.
No, and being it so close to your eyes, you can totally see the pixels, which is, it brings out the immersion or takes you out of the immersion.
Right, if you don't have enough res.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. People are thinking this sounds crazy. Why would you need that many pixels? Because when things are that close to your eye, you can actually resolve it. That's the whole point of it. Now, the price point puts it in a weird place. $3,000 definitely seems targeted not at regular consumers, though some of them are going to do it with any Apple product. They got to own it. But they're targeting professionals, I suppose, potentially developers and other commercial applications. The other headset that comes to mind here as a comparison is the Microsoft HoloLens headset, which is $3,500, I believe. However, that one is augmented reality only, and it's really targeted only at industrial applications, as you can see here. I don't know. I suppose developers probably utilize it as well. Now, the Apple product supposedly is going to have some AR elements to go with the VR elements. I don't know how much of it is going to, I don't know what that ratio is going to be. They've obviously done some significant investments in the AR side, but this looks to be a VR first headset, and that makes it a very expensive VR headset, arguably the most expensive on the market if it's between $3,000 and $3,500, although there's probably commercially available products that I'm unaware of that are at that particular price point. I'm sure that they exist. So it's going to be high end. It's potentially coming out in 2022. That's a rumor, at least, sitting over here. 2022? Or is that just for their AR glasses? Well, nobody knows at this point. I suppose this is all relative to these reports. 2022 sounds about right to me. Maybe we could catch a glimpse a little sooner. What do you say? Headset in 2022. Oh, yeah, I was right. Okay, 2022 and the glasses by 2023. That's the hope, though. So these things can get delayed or take longer. We'll have to wait and see what transpires. But it is an odd, I don't know. Apple and VR, because it's not a huge gaming background, and VR has been really gaming targeted and focused for now. So it's a bit odd. I'm not sure how they're going to pitch it.
AR seems like the better bet.
Sure. But I suppose you need some sort of VR play. They can't be completely... This is like me getting interested in crypto, Will. It's like you want to know, you want to be involved a little bit. And so if Apple even is doing this at a really small scale to learn, as a project to learn, so that they have some VR expertise just in case that's the thing that takes off, maybe you're hedging your bets here.
Sure.
Like a hedge fund. Today's sponsor, HelloFresh. You know, I know, we got to eat healthy. We got to eat better.
Yes.
And we got to, every so often, throw together a meal where we see the ingredients that go into it. You can't strictly be ordering up. Every so often, you got to, you lay down the utensils. You might set the table. And you got to put something out there that's appetizing that you, your loved ones, your spouse, your family, that they're going to be interested in.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you something, a lot of people, they don't know where to start, including myself. I got a couple of go-to type dishes I can make, but beyond that, the creativity is lacking in the kitchen. And you know what HelloFresh does? They take care of some of that for you. They send you the package. You pick beforehand whatever looks good to you. And it's stuff you would probably never approach on your own. Chicken over garlic Parmesan spaghetti. Gouda Vibes burgers. Cranberry Dijon pork tenderloin. I hate to say it, Will. I don't feel like you're going to approach the Dijon if they don't help you.
I actually like Dijon.
You approach the Dijon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good for you. Actually, I do too. I'll put it on a sausage or something sometime, from time to time. I'll even go for a spicy mustard. It's happened in the past. But you see how it happens here between 30 and 45 minutes. Look at the 30-minute. That's a lightning prep double cheese and pork sausage flatbread. You could eat something like that. You've been known to eat something like that and enjoy it.
All the time.
All the time. Beef flautas that came out the Hall of Fame. It's really easy. It's so many selections for the certain time period. You click on the ones that you want. They show up. You make it in 30 minutes. You feel like a rock star. You can't believe you put it together. That's how HelloFresh works. It keeps it healthy in your very own kitchen. You make it yourself. And I'm eating these things. Willie Doo's eating these things. He was reporting on the pork burgers he had the other day. He was ranting and he was raving in a positive way. So yeah, you can get the dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. HelloFresh offers 23 plus recipes each week, featuring a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients. You'll never get bored. You can get 10 free meals right now. That's the best thing about this sponsorship, is that it's actually a crazy promo. I mean, all the promos are good, but this promo is another level. Go to HelloFresh.com/LouLater10 and use the code LouLater10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/LouLater10. Use the code LouLater10 for 10 free meals. I'll drop a link in the description if that's easier for you, but don't forget the code. How you gonna miss 10 free meals? Don't miss out. Swiss watchmaker debuts a $30,800 Apple Watch clone with mechanical loading wheel. This is not a smartwatch at all. This is a shot at the smartwatch by a Swiss watchmaker for those that appreciate the finer things in life and love a good mechanical watch with moving parts. However, it looks like an Apple Watch. So you're taking a shot at all those digital heads saying, no, I'm not distracted. I'm in the moment. I'm a Swiss watch man. But what gets weird to me here is, if that's who you are, do you want a watch that looks like a smartwatch? I suppose it's kind of fun, but a lot of people, I feel like, if you're going to spend 30 G's on a mechanical watch like this, a Swiss timepiece, then maybe you want it to look like one. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a more classic design. I'm just saying, but it's cool nonetheless. They worked in the loading bar, and they claim that the reason for that is to put an emphasis on the momentary nature of life so that you're reminded to stay in the moment. Is that going to work on you, Willie Doo?
It reminds me, the loading reminds me of just a loading bar from Apple.
Yeah, they made it to look exactly the same. They actually also...
It is all mechanical.
All mechanical,
it's not a display.
Nope, it's not a display. It's the loading of your life, Willie Doo.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? Oh. Yeah. Eventually it'll stop.
Well, it's
Eventually
nice.
It'll stop. You got 20 years left, all right?
Well, 20 years, I'll take it.
I keep trimming
I'm okay
down
with
your life expectancy, making you very uncomfortable. No, I'm sure you got at least 40 more, Willie. You're taking it all the way.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
You're taking it all the way, dude. Do you want 40 more? How many more do you want? You want 50 more? You wanted some crazy number. What was
40
it?
is good. I like 40.
Oh, you're okay with 40?
Sure.
What does that get you to?
I'll take it.
What does that get you to? 75?
Around there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think you're going to beat that, actually.
Okay. Well,
Since we're talking about time and the
appreciate
momentary nature, the temporary nature of life. It's also got some Vanta Black on it, so that's got to have your attention. The dial is actually covered in Vanta Black, considered the darkest known substance, absorbing up to 99.965% of visible light. So you got mechanical stuff, Vanta Black stuff, plus it looks like an Apple Watch, but then if anybody gets up close, they see the timepiece, they know it's for real. So I don't know, maybe it's a cool piece of stealth luxury that you know what it is, and that's what matters. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how these things break down, but it's cool nonetheless. The Swiss Alp watch. It's called the Final Upgrade. Entirely mechanical, 100% Swiss manufactured movement, and a 96-hour power reserve. Just 50 units available for the Final Upgrade watches. $30,000. You can either get the watch or buy some crypto. It's up to you. Some Doge. Some quick Doge. Or some GME because it's cheap now.
Yeah.
I'll probably get cheaper. This is not that's not financial advice.
No.
Pixel phones will be able to read your heart rate with their cameras. Coming soon, Google Fit app. It will measure not just your heart rate, but your respiratory rate. This is pulling on technology we've actually seen in the past. You may recall previous Samsung devices that would let you hold your fingertip up to the camera. It would illuminate the fingertip and be able to tell your heart rate without any extra special watch or external type of device. It's kind of a cool feature, but they got rid of it. I believe the last model to feature it was the S20. Oh, no, the S10, actually. The S20 didn't have it, of course. I'm going to just use the S20. The company removed the feature as soon as they got to the S10e. Now, it isn't probably the most accurate version of this type of a meter, but it is cool to have as a backup kind of system. If you're in a pinch, you need to take the heart rate. The respiratory is kind of cool as well. It will use your front-facing camera. You'll position yourself. There's a diagram if you scroll down. You position yourself in front of it. It will capture your head and your chest and be able to tell your respiratory rate, detecting small changes in your chest. And this integrated into the Fit app can just learn a little bit more about you and get some of these variables that normally would be reserved for people who purchased a secondary device outside of their smartphone.
Yeah. I noticed that she's wearing clothes, so it can detect, I guess, if you're...
You noticed that she's wearing clothes.
Well, I thought it's really cool.
I didn't notice she was wearing clothes. I just assumed that anything on this show, any human on this show would be wearing clothes.
Well, this cartoon here. But
do your cartoons normally not, Will?
Well, I thought it was really impressive that it can detect it with clothes on.
No, I'm just messing with you, Will.
Yeah.
I'm just
How dare you?
I'm just messing with you. So anyway, yeah, some cool new health features coming into the app on your Pixel. No need for any other smart wearable. Check out this design that Oppo recently sent through one of those patent filings. We have seen pop-up cameras in the past. How about a pop-up camera that hides not just the front-facing camera, but the rear-facing camera as well? Say goodbye to giant camera bulges. So by using a periscope-style design, similar to what we've seen on those zoom lenses, you get all those various mirrors in there, and you can build the whole camera in the body and have the image bouncing around via prism-type devices. It's a crazy design. If you scroll down, you can see the actual patent. It looks very cool in the original render, but also if you look at the patent, look at the complexity of this thing. Now, apparently, this can actually capture in two directions, because it's got these dual modules that pop up out of the top, meaning that you could shoot a 360-degree image out of here as well with only a 180-degree turn. It's capturing it can capture a really wide section, And look at how the components would be housed on the inside of the smartphone body, because now you can get everything going vertical with your sensor and everything else instead of having to have it, sandwiched onto the back of the device. This would obviously be very hard to implement. And then you've got the same questions that people have had in the past about the motorization of the camera module, the number of times you can do it, the durability and such. But I know Oppo's capable of it because they've, in the past, shown off some pretty cool designs with the motorized type of setup. Now, the only problem here is I don't know how big of a headache the rear-facing camera is to people from a design perspective. Of course, the ultra minimalist would love to see just imagine just a smooth back on the phone, no bulge. That'd be kind of wild, actually.
Yeah.
But I think most people are kind of used to the idea. And in many cases recently, the camera hump has kind of become some sort of point of pride in that the bigger your hump, the more expensive your phone. Would you disagree with that? The giant hump is always on the most ultra, most premium, most max version of the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more you spend, the more you hump.
Sure.
On the other end of the spectrum, Nokia is debuting an incredibly affordable device. The, what are they calling it? The Nokia 1.4. How about that for a product name? Yeah, I'll just take the 1.4 and a 1.5 and a 1.6. I don't mind it, actually. Keep it simple. I don't know how memorable it is. Now, they're calling this device family friendly. And the reason being is because it prioritizes the type of use people are doing right now, trapped at home, COVID style. Everyone needs to have a device. Everyone's bored. And so they think family friendly means it's affordable enough you could get it for anybody in the house, including youngsters. I feel like that's the pitch. The thing is starting at 99 euros. 99 euros.
Oh.
It's going to feature a 6.5-inch, 5.1-inch LCD panel with a tiny little notch on there. Not a big one, a little sort of a teardrop style notch. It's not going to be very powerful. Snapdragon 215 SoC. However, it will have a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which for family usage, I suppose, is what you would want. Unfortunately, only 5-watt charging. 8-megapixel camera, and Android 10 Go edition. So hopefully the lightweight Android will be okay with the less than flagship performance. But the price point is what really stood out to me, and the family-friendly branding. And also the device doesn't look half bad for $100.
Looks pretty good.
Showcases how far we've come in smartphones. Sony, we have some Sony news. They are apparently, and this is no surprise, they apparently have been selling the PlayStation 5 at a loss. This is not unprecedented. We've seen this in the past, all kinds of hardware where they, in order to get out the gate with big numbers, and when you have a business model where you're going to monetize down the road, you want to hit a certain price point. And they probably decided, look, we got to be at $4.99 USD.
Yeah.
And they said, for the digital model, we got to be here, or whatever, however they decided. I think there is a big psychological gap between $4.99 and $5.99.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's just a number, but it's a psychological gap. You know what I'm saying?
And they do make their money back through peripherals and subscriptions, right?
Subscriptions and software. I mean, obviously they sell their own games. Sony has its own games, and they make a percentage off the other game sales. And yeah, they're diversified in that. I think you can even buy movies on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of ways in which they make money, and also these things have a long shelf life. So it's not just making money tomorrow off software and other services. It's, well, now you're in the house by the TV for the next 5 years, potentially, maybe longer. You saw people trying to play Cyberpunk on the first generation PS4. And so that goes to show you how long these things remain in service to their users. So Sony coming out to coming to battle up against Microsoft, they got to come in aggressive. And the actual figure hasn't been broken out. Early speculation was that the cost to make the device was actually going to be around $450. And then later on, speculation changed to no, they're probably going to be lucky to break even, right around 500, and definitely lose money on the diskless model at 400. Because if you think about it, what is the cost of a disk drive? Not much. It's definitely not $100 at scale. And so $399 for the disk drive, or for the non-disk drive, from what I've been saying, is the real value point. People get upset with that because they want they want to have the disk and they feel more flexible that way. And I hear all of it.
Yeah.
I hear all of it. Actually, right now, if you wanted to play Cyberpunk, you couldn't even you got to get the disc because they took it off the PlayStation Store unless it came back and I'm unaware.
You can get it at GameStop.
You can get it at GameStop. They'll GME for you. Anyway, so they came out and said, look, we're selling it at a loss. They didn't say the exact amount of money. I presume they're losing between $50 and $100. That's a guess. But they don't care, Will, because everything else is up. And they know it's a long play. And they know that they've likely won the console wars, at least in terms of volume.
And also, in the long run, the components will get cheaper.
Oh, it always does. And then they start, exactly.
Yeah, they'll make their money back.
Don't worry about Sony. Plus, they got the new camera they just sent us.
Whew.
And it seemed like everybody in the world wants that thing. So anyway.
It's probably still recording right now at 8K.
Oh, yeah, we're testing the 8K runtime.
It's been like
cool.
2 hours.
Did you stop recording it? Oh, yeah. How long did it go for? 1 hour, 40 minutes, 8K. No overheating! I'm yelling at Mo, by the way, for those of you that are wondering. He turned off the recording after 1 hour and 40 minutes. That means all these cameras on this show have to change.
Yeah.
Everything's got to change. Anyway, shout out Sony doing things. Sony's doing things.
They are. Yeah.
You know who else is doing things? Google is doing things. They have a new subsea cable connecting the US and Europe. How about a quick little cable, some quick fiber from, I don't know, Virginia to France? You want to lay that down? Will?
No.
Sheesh.
Look,
imagine that task. They're like, yeah, just get to the bottom of the ocean. It's no big deal. Just get this fiber all the way over there. We need faster connections. This project, named after Nobel Peace Prize winner and founder of the Red Cross, Henry Dunant, it was started back in 2018. 4,000 miles of cable with a capacity of 250 terabits per second, or enough to transmit the entire digitized Library of Congress 3 times every second. Oh. That means nothing to me. I don't.
To put it in perspective, but not really.
It uses 12 fiber pairs coupled with a number of technical innovations around maximizing its bandwidth to achieve these numbers. 250 terabits per second. It sounds. I just like the sound of it. I would like 12 separate fiber pairs coming into the studio. That's what I would like for a quick upload.
Yeah.
But no. You need these type of pipes for the real for the public. I mean, this is increasingly interconnected. Increasingly, life is taking place over these lines, and these things are necessary for fast data transmission across the globe. Mm-hmm. You can get a cool little graphic. You know, I like a nice graphic here, Will, of what the installation is a little bit further there. Like, it's Virginia on one side and France on the other. It really makes it feel like a small world. Just a couple of neighbors.
Just cross this little chasm over here.
Yeah.
You're good.
What, the Atlantic Ocean? Nah, this is a small
Just ride
dip.
a dolphin.
So you can see the different labeling of how this will work. It will make its way to Google in Belgium, actually, after it touches land at the west coast of France, and it will get to Google's customers in the EU. This is primarily for their cloud products, and so they're trying to, distribute these services across a larger landscape. Actually, there's one more graph I want to show you. If you go down to the bottom, which showcases some of the major fiber lines connecting the entire world. It's at the very bottom. Look at that thing. You can click on it, make it bigger. Wow, cool. Look at this thing, Will.
Nice.
It's kind of like, it's like a switchboard, a patch bay, like one of those analog synthesizers, just patching in different nodes of the world. Isn't it weird how things kind of
nodes
look like that? You just zoom out far enough and everything is that. Just nodes being plugged into one another.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Very cool.
Look at those giant fat cables. Oh, we just have to hope now that the sharks don't get down there and start biting them and all. Because you remember that clip? They were having trouble with sharks getting they're getting too interested in them in the past. Yeah. This is not a shark, but this is kind of might remind some people of such a thing. It's the Boston Dynamics Spot, who got a new arm.
Oh.
The mouth of the arm kind of looks like a shark. What? How am I trying to string
Just
this thing
eating fiber cables
together here? But yeah, it got a new arm, and this arm looks amazing. It has incredible force, and it's surprisingly dexterous. And, you know, Boston Dynamics can't make a video that doesn't go viral, so there is a video here. Spot's got an arm. I don't know how many views it has at the time of filming this, but this video showcases all kinds of things, from picking up materials that are out. I guess this is evidence gathering right here. So he has a bucket in the back.
in the snow.
No tamper, evidence gathering into the bucket. Lovely. Oh, how about just picking up maybe your dirty clothes off the ground into the hamper? This is what you need, Willie,
Nice.
dude. You need B36 in your house. Look at that. So dexterous. Woo! And jump rope, you're like, well, it could have done that before. But look who's holding the rope.
Oh,
It's two different spots that are actually swinging the skipping rope, and then one other spot, which is jumping over it. Here we have a blacked out stealth mode spot with an arm. This is SWAT team style, and this is opening a door. And this is really interesting how it figures this out, because it has to hold the door partially open with the arm in order to get through the entryway. So, and then look at this. Imagine from an industrial type of setting where you, in an emergency, needed a breaker shut down or a main electrical supply.
yeah, you don't want to go in there.
You can see it can grasp handles really well. Look, it's turning off the gas supply here. Look at that. That could have been an explosion if it wasn't for Spot. How about planting trees? You didn't expect this. Look, pulls the tree out the bucket. That's more than you ever did for this for the planet, Will.
Yeah,
Spot's
just
already got you
polluting.
beat.
Good job, Spot.
So not only does Spot have this new arm, which is incredibly powerful and dexterous, but also Spot has a new charging base. So much like a robotic vacuum can just head back and charge itself. And I think Mo's going to appreciate this portion at the end, where Spot is also, with this new arm, capable of doing a much better job than he could ever do with some chalk. I mean, no offense to
Drawing
Mo.
on the pavement.
No, I mean, this is we couldn't do it to that degree of precision. Not a single person in the world. Okay, definitely somebody could, but not us.
Yeah.
All right, little GameStop update. It turns out that Keith Gill, otherwise known as True Effin' Value, otherwise known as Kitty,
Roaring Kitty.
Roaring Kitty on YouTube,
On YouTube.
he's being investigated now. And I saw a recent post of his on Reddit on Wall Street Bets where he was saying he's not going to be posting his update anymore because he's been doing the
Daily
account
updates.
balance update and showing the shares and profits and things like this. And so there's like all kinds of things going on where now, even inside Wall Street Bets, you have people saying, hey, there's an investigation going on in here. People are in here looking at us. And then here in this New York Times article, they just straight up said, no, there's a legit investigation going in here, because it turns out that Keith Gill himself was working sort of in the investment field. He was a registered securities broker, and his former day job was a financial wellness education director at an insurance company in Boston. Now, the company, Mass Mutual, told securities regulators that it was unaware that he had been posting about GameStop on social media for about a year. They apparently didn't know of it, and he was listed as having worked for them up until fairly recently, January 21st. Technically still an employee, which actually brings it into that stage where GameStop was already starting to skyrocket, meaning he was an employee of this company at that time. And regulators have a different treatment for individuals who are part of a company, an investment-based company. Regulators have an interest in what they're doing on their spare time because of their license and because of their line of work.
I guess you're not supposed to spread the word of what you're investing.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. It's a really sensitive area. that even if he was, then he would likely have to look for approval from his employer that was a thing that they were comfortable with, considering all the sensitivity around it. Now, this is tough because had this thing not blown up as much as it did, chances are it goes overlooked. Who cares? The guy's investing in $5, $10 stocks and making a YouTube channel about it. But once it got away so massively and turned into such a mainstream story, then you're like, okay, now people come calling to do their investigation. So it's crazy. It's on both sides. You have the Wall Street Bets crowd, who they claim corruption and conspiracy on the one side and say, you got to investigate Robinhood, and we want to investigate the hedge funds and potential illegal behavior over there, and what are they doing that we're, and then on the flip side, you have the sort of traditional regulatory bodies and whoever else that the one group would say is on the payroll, the other group saying, no, we're going to investigate you. And he said, no, we're going to investigate you.
Yeah.
Although only one party really has the capability to truly launch an investigation, which is, in this case, who would they be? The regulatory body, the securities regulators. So anyway, we'll wait and see what happens. It turns out he's not working there now. So as of January 21st, I guess he quit, I would assume, because they didn't know about it. So I don't think he would have been fired for such a thing. He probably quit when he saw the account flying like it was flying. In his latest update, he showed an image of his holdings at more than 8.6 million. That's his holdings of GameStop stock, and his cash holdings of 14 million. So I guess he cashed some out, or did he already have those cash holdings? I'm not sure, but at one time that was worth a lot more than that, because obviously GameStop is down quite a bit now. Maybe we should get a GME update since we're here. I think it might be like $50 or something, 53.50. So way off its high at one time, which was close to $500. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know enough about how the regulation works in this area. I will just say I have watched a few videos from what is it?
Roaring Kitty.
Roaring Kitty, that's right. Why can't I remember that? That seems memorable enough.
It's just one of those names.
And the other one is True Effin' Value?
Deep
Effin' Value. Gotta remember this stuff. Anyway, he's a legend in the community, and I watched a couple of videos, and he seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah.
From what I can tell. You have something to say here, Will?
No, it just seems like he didn't know that this was going to blow up.
Of course not. Not to this degree.
Yeah.
Not to this degree. And I don't know. Like, again, I'm not a regulator in this area, and I know he has a license and all the rest of it, but you will see, if you spend any time in Wall Street Bets, that everybody in there, or at least the vast majority, are constantly saying, not financial advice, don't invest more than you're willing to lose. This is your own choice. I didn't see any kind of super heavy persuasion from my time in there. I'm sure it exists as well. Just like any community, you're going to have a little bit of both, but it seems most of what I read is, hey, realize that this is a risk personally, and it's not a guarantee, and be careful with what don't invest more than you're willing to lose kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see what takes place, but hopefully it all works out. Speaking of that big squeeze and the stock market heat that was happening, we have a report here that the Koss family, who were somehow a part of it because the Koss stock was also one that was heavily shorted, so it got lumped in with GME and AMC and Nokia, BlackBerry, whatever handful of stocks became the meme stocks. Koss is down quite a bit as well off of its high. Maybe just do a 1 month there. We can see how high it got. It got up to $64. Now, this is an interesting thing that happened at that moment at its peak. And one of the, I suppose, side effects of a volatile stock market or a fast increasing value on any particular stock is that all of the Koss family, that own the majority of the shares, they basically cashed out when it hit its peak. It got to $60-something, and they sold over more than $44 million in stock. Members of the Koss family, who own 75% of the headphone makers, sold $31 million in stock, according to SEC. The $31 million in sales is larger than the entire market value of the company at about $26 million. So they sold, well, they sold a huge portion of their holdings in the company, which I don't know. I mean, I can't fault them for it, but I don't know how healthy that is for the company that the owners are getting out of their share of the company. Sometimes there's actually rules around this because the share acts as a bet. Like, I'm committed to this company. I hold a lot of shares in this company. I want this company to do well, so the shares go up. So I don't know what type of approvals have to take place within the corporate entity for this to happen. But if they own 75% of the company, I guess that they're capable of doing such a thing since it was booming. The company's shares were trading under $4 a share before it became popular.
Wow.
So it went from under $4 up to a high of around 60. They sold apparently anywhere between $19 a share and over $60 a share.
Huh.
And the filings did take place with the Securities and Exchange Commission. I suppose this is all approved and above board, though they did not respond for comment when questioned by CNBC. In this case, the CEO and president of the family, Michael Koss, sold the most, $13.3 million worth of stock, and options on shares for a net of $12.9 million. So I'm assuming everything was done properly in the way that it should be done, and I'm sure that internally they said to themselves, there will never be a time like this time to sell. So you can't fault anybody, but it is an interesting side effect of something like this where the entire family gets out of their own company, gets out of the shares in their own company because they recognize that it will never be as successful as the meme has made it.
Yeah, they're not holding the line.
Because a lot of people have had questions about this. Like, wait a sec, is this good for GameStop? How does this all shake out? Because prior to the stock going crazy, there was actually some renewed interest in the company. In fact, actually, the next article references that. Here's a hedge fund that actually made $700 million on GameStop.
Oh, good.
So for everyone saying, oh, screw the hedge fund type of thing, the Wall Street rich types, the suit types, there's money to be made everywhere. There's money on the way up. There's money on the way down. And you screw one person and like somebody loses, somebody wins.
Yeah.
And it's not only going to be people you approve of. If the information is trending, of course, hedge funds are going to get back involved. They're going to hedge all over again. So it's kind of like, I don't know who you're sticking it to, because here's an example of some suits. Look at their corporate photos.
Suits.
Like they're in a skyscraper. Like, look at the corporate photo with the bokeh in the back of other skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is, man. That's the hedge fund look. That's the professional look. This is the look of people. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's the look of people that were being targeted with a lot of the commentary inside of the Wall Street Bets community. They don't look like Roaring Kitty.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Which I don't know how much that matters. I know everyone likes to take shots at each other. How they dress means something about who they are. Fundamentally, most humans want the same things, regardless they wear a suit or... it's an easy target is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, go on.
Am I defending hedge fund guys that just made $700 million?
Well, you are.
Well, I'm just... No, but you hear what I'm saying. It's like...
Everyone wants to make money.
But if these guys were dressed differently, does it change what they did? Like, if these guys were wearing Metallica shirts right now... Is all of a sudden it's like, yeah, those aren't hedge funds, but they made the $700 million. Like, we as a group, we obsess over like the interesting things. You're telling me if all of a sudden they change their outfit, then now you look at them differently. I guess so. I guess that's how humans work. We're just very superficial. They got like a backwards hat, and it's like, oh, they're just like startup guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, Silicon Valley. I don't know.
Just like us.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, just like us. They just happen to be really rich. They put the suit on, they're the enemy. It's interesting the way we work, but we're very visual. You know that well.
Yep.
Judgmental visual. Anyway, they made $700 million. Actually, They got in before everything went bananas because they had a meeting with GameStop and they were like, you know what? We like what you guys are doing here. Because they got the guy from Chewy on board. And all of a sudden it was like, you know what? We think you're going to hang around until the next generation of consoles. We think you're going to move a lot online. You're going to save money on the physical stores. And we think you're undervalued right now. So they got in the right way. They didn't even necessarily need to wait for the hype. By the end of October, this hedge fund, Senvest, owned more than 5% of the company, paying under $10 a share. So now you know how they made $700 million, which is close to $1 billion.
So they bet on the company succeeding.
Yes, they bet on it wasn't a hedge. They bet on the company succeeding from what they saw. They saw all the shorts. They partook far earlier. So this idea that the information couldn't be used in either direction, I mean, you can see here's a hedge fund that bet against other hedge funds. Imagine that. Something else that's happening, I don't know if you saw the Dogecoin surge. Everybody, the Dogecoin thing does not seem to go away. The meme coin.
Just like the dog. It'll never go away.
The dog is actually one of the oldest breeds in the world.
Yeah, the Shiba.
Yeah, by the way. Ancient Japanese breed.
Yes.
Almost wiped out once upon a time. And, some careful breeding practices and whatnot, they were able to maintain it. Shiba Inu.
Very cute.
Doge. Anyway, so the meme crypto keeps coming back, and recently, I guess it was yesterday. Well, Elon Musk said, "I'm leaving Twitter for a while," but then he came back 2 days later, or a day and a half. So, but I guess that counts as having left. Anyway, he came back guns blazing because he came with a Doge tweet and then sent it skyrocketing. I believe it was up 44%, at least at the point of this article. I don't know what his tweet actually was. I think it was just Doge. No further comment.
Was it?
That's all it takes, Will, to get things booming. Can we get a Doge update so we can get a little value tracker? Dogecoin, price on Coinbase, and it's still up there.
Yeah, I think the highest was 0.07.
It must have been higher. Okay, so the last time it was a hot meme, January 29th, it was actually higher, 0.07.
Yeah, I think that was the highest.
0.05 right now. I think it's going to take a few more Elon tweets to get it to $1. Just a few more.
Yeah, come on, Elon.
It's not impossible, though. It could be done.
You can do it.
I don't personally hold any Doge, so maybe I'm doing the internet wrong. I don't know. A lot of people ask me to talk about this next one, and it's a super sensitive subject, man. Like, I understand you want me to comment on it. I know I kind of covered it loosely in the past. Rihanna tweeting about it actually enlightened me to the level of sensitivity around it. I'm talking about the current protests in India, farmer protests. People dispute. There's a dispute if they're even farmers. I am not involved in a dispute. You know how they say an individual close to the matter? I am not an individual close to the matter. I'm an outsider looking in, and I've had people contact me on either side of the spectrum. There is this political change taking place, a policy change that has been proposed, which it's become a right-wing, left-wing kind of conversation. So the policy change being proposed is an opening up of the marketplace for agriculture, for farming in India. This would mean that it would be a more free market type of environment for selling your goods if you are a farmer. Now, the current system in place is much different than that, where you actually have guarantees, where the government essentially guarantees a certain price for your crops, for your yield, which for some people gives a greater sense of security. Now, this is not, many nations have different types of agreements with their farmers that are similar to that. And then other nations have a more free and open scenario where you as a farmer sell to the open market and potentially are able to have more buyers, or potentially are able to earn more, or potentially are able to earn less. It's hard to know because the application here hasn't happened at scale, particularly amongst these particular communities. But when you have a protest, you obviously have a disagreement. And so that disagreement has been has polarized the communities there. On one side of the spectrum, you have the right wing of the area suggesting that this will be better for business, that farmers can earn more money by increasing their potential customers and having a more sort of fluid marketplace. Then the protesters, and I presume the left wing point of view, is that it's not going to get better. And what's going to happen here is that mega corporations, guys like the Reliance guy who's now gotten involved in supermarkets and food, and even potentially foreign players who are interested, although that seems to be a sensitive subject for Modi and their particular political stance in general. So the farmers are concerned that these big players who can push mega money around could outperform them, compete better, and therefore wedge them out of the process, and through eliminating their guarantee that they won't be able to be as efficient or competitive because they don't have the scale. So this is essentially the argument that's going on. Now, the development that took place here, Rihanna decided to tweet about it.
She stepped in.
And so did Greta Thunberg. Famous Greta, environmental Greta.
How dare you?
How dare you, Greta? They both tweeted, and then, my God, they had unleashed upon them those with the alternative political viewpoint coming after them on Twitter in a pretty heavy way. So you can see a tweet here from a prominent Indian individual. I say prominent, you see the check mark. Rihanna simply posted, "Why aren't we talking about this? Hashtag farmers protest." That was the tweet with a link to the CNN article. Here's the reply. "No one is talking about it because they are not farmers. They are terrorists who are trying to divide India so that China can take over our vulnerable, broken nation and make it a Chinese colony, much like USA. Sit down, you fool. We are not selling our nation like you dummies." Oh my God. I read that and I was like, wow, heavy, weirdly heavy for social media. Like, I don't know. It's the first part of it is kind of one thing, but then the sit down, you fool part of it gets really personal and attacking. And I actually think Twitter threatened this user because I clicked on her account and it appears that she was tweeting really recently about potentially being frozen or suspended. She has 3 million followers. I think I don't know if she's an actress or, I mean, this is something we should probably know. Here we go. China Puppet Twitter is threatening to suspend my account, even though I did not violate any rules. So her suggestion here is, just like Chinese TikTok, you will be banned as well. So her position here against Twitter as well, very patriotic, again, right-wing supportive viewpoint. But this happens, I just want to say, this is every nation, right? This is every nation, alternative viewpoints and the struggle in the middle of finding a compromise and something that works for all parties. And oftentimes, things with the aggravation and the anger, and certainly if there's violence and things like this, it can create even more distance and even greater gap between the two groups who ultimately do need to figure out a way to work together. In the end, it can put a huge delay on it, and it can apply so much more severity to something. I mean, this is how pain works. You get slapped in the face, all of a sudden you slap him back. I see my two kids scuffling, and when one escalates the situation, the other one escalates the situation. And it at a certain point, you can't even remember who was right and wrong because all this blood's been spilled. So I would just say, because people ask me to speak on a topic, is I hope compromise can be found. Not that it goes strictly and harshly one way or strictly and harshly the other. And I think that's just kind of my point of view in general when it comes to politics. There's a reason, no matter where you go, there's these alternate viewpoints. It can be a good thing to have people that disagree with you, Will. It can be a good thing, even if you have a right-wing perspective, every so often to have a left-wing leader. Or if you have a left-wing perspective, to every so often have a right-wing leader. It creates balance. That sometimes these agendas take precedent and then other times those. And sometimes it's the economy and then other times it's that. And if you adopt that mindset, if you're willing to give it a shot, and if more people are willing to give it a shot, then presumably there would be more overlap and a greater ability to at least imagine the alternative point of view. To say, oh, this might be how that person is looking at it. This might be a little bit of column A and B. Because you know this in life, Will. The longer you live, it's often in the gray zone. It's often a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's very rarely black and white.
Yes.
There's a new Ford Raptor coming out, and you know I'm excited about it. How you like that transition? It's going to have the V8 in it, and we have pictures now. Look at how bold and aggressive that thing looks. Now, how do you feel? Right away, I want to ask you this versus the TRX that we talked about, because they're going head-to-head, 700-plus horsepower, the two V8 super trucks. What's it going to be for you? The new Raptor or the TRX?
Is there a picture of the TRX here?
Not in this article. You'll have to bring it up. You don't remember? Come on, man.
Well, I do like the Ford Raptor. I've driven it a couple times.
Hey, man. Easy.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
You feel like you're in charge of the road when you're in the Raptor.
It's like driving a boat.
Yeah,
It's so
you're way
tall
up there and you're looking down and you could drive over anything. When I'm driving it, I like to take it right up on the grass and go, off road sometimes if I need to.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you really feel like you can go a lot of places. And anyway, so
it's fun. It's fun.
They put out a new F-150, so the Raptor has to follow suit, but it usually takes place a little bit after the regular model F-150. And this is our first glimpse at what they're going to do. Now, the regular Raptor is not going to have a V8. The regular Raptor will have the EcoBoost engine, and it's a decent engine, 500 horsepower. It's just that Ram put out that crazy TRX. And so the model that I'm pumped up for is the Ford Raptor R, which is going to likely have 700 plus horsepower and a V8 engine. So it's going to sound, it's going to sound mean. And hopefully we're able to get one over here. And Willie, you could take it off road like that. Look at the suspension over here.
That's cool.
My goodness. Yeah, they're changing the springs in there, which they're going to, what is it? A 5-link coil sprung suspension instead of leaf springs. Supposedly in the off-road community, better ride, more flexibility.
So will this adopt Android, Google?
No.
With the Ford deal?
That's not till 2023. This will have Android Auto, but you'll have to plug in.
I see.
You'll have to plug in for that in the meantime. And yes, there was a rumor it might not be street legal. Yes, the Raptor R will be street legal. It's going to have 37-inch tires, upgrade suspension, slew of other tweaks. And what can I say? I'm excited for it. I hope the R doesn't take too long to come by. I know it's going to be hard to get your hands on it, even when it does. I don't know if you saw this story, Willie Do, but rapper, artist, Lil Uzi Vert, he embedded a diamond in his forehead. Did you see this story?
I read the headline, yeah.
Yeah, so he decided to put a 10 or 11 carat pink diamond, sort of pierce it and embed it in the center of his forehead, in between his two eyes. Apparently, this diamond is worth $24 million. And apparently, he's been paying for it since 2017, preparing for this moment. He says this diamond costs more than his house and all of his cars combined, his Bugatti, whatever else. And the reason that it's so expensive, first off, is because these pink diamonds are super rare. They just don't show up very often. The main producer of, not producer, but retriever of pink diamonds actually shut down recently because they couldn't find anymore. They were in Australia. Prior to this year, though, the number of pink diamonds found every single year would barely fill a champagne glass.
Wow.
And they'd be a lot smaller than the one he has.
Right.
So this is considered possibly the rarest stone.
And it's on his forehead.
And it's on his forehead, which brings us to the next part of the conversation, which is like, okay, I can appreciate the rarity of the stone.
How is it on his forehead?
It's pierced there. Now,
What does
at
that
the
mean?
moment, it has a long bar in it because of the swelling, and he posted a video on social media. It moves around a little bit. However, once the swelling goes down, the plan is to put a short bar in there, which would tighten it up and it would not move around very much as the permanent fixture. And the reason for the thing in the head is for a lot of M's in his face. And you know what M's are? Millions. It's a lot of M's in his face, and it's a lot of cash bags. And the shush. Yes, my Bugatti can't even pay for it. All my cars together, plus home. This took so long now, I can get this money. So he has to get the money to pay for it? I'm not sure. But it's an odd thing, but it is I guess it's a pretty serious flex, Will. You got $24 million in your face. Will?
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this. I'm kind of in shock to actually see it. I've seen the title, but to see it, it's
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're alone. I think it is meant to sort of be shocking and unusual. I think it's the reason it's working out on social media. You know, part of it, Will, when you're an artist like this, you got to keep people talking about you. You got to keep people listening to you. You got to do things that are unique that no one else is doing. Sometimes that could be painful. Sometimes it could be painful, physically painful, and bank account painful. But there's no doubt that in the community, how are you not going to talk about the fact the guy's got $24 million diamond in his head? You're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
It worked out in that sense. All right, let me tell you about, this is the last one of the day. Let me tell you about the craziest off-menu McDonald's item that has stunned TikTok. TikTok is stunned.
okay.
And it's not easy to stun TikTok, Mo. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't even know this thing exists. Apparently, McDonald's has chocolate birthday cake, but it's not on the menu. You have to request it, and you'll get it. It has a vanilla-looking icing on a chocolate cake, and this woman went in Omaha. She ordered it. She posted to TikTok. I think you can find a clip. It's where is the clip? You didn't even have the clip. The clip didn't load for you for some reason. We need a refresh. Anyway, she's cutting this chocolate McDonald's cake on TikTok, and it has a Ronald McDonald on it, and people said it was a fake. They're like, no, they don't. She says, did you know McDonald's sells $9 cakes? And you post something like this on TikTok, you know it's about to pop off. $9 McDonald's cake. It's a huge cake. It's a full-size cake. It's a birthday cake.
Huh. But no one's ordering it, right? Are they keeping it in some sort of like...
Will, what's going on in your TikTok over there? Come on, man. Man, like the suggested videos for holy crap, man. Wow. Anyway, yeah, I get it's an off-menu item. So the suggestion is maybe it's only certain McDonald's that carry it, or maybe they order it in for you, or maybe if they're known for it, they'll order it in. But people were having a nostalgic feeling. I don't know if you remember being a kid, Will, and ever having a birthday party at a McDonald's, but some people recalled that chocolate cake coming out when there would be a birthday party at a McDonald's.
Huh.
Does that ring a bell for anybody over here? No bells are being rung. But anyway, people disputed and they said, no, there's no way. I work at McDonald's. I've never seen this thing. They're like, you scammed everybody. So then she goes back to McDonald's and records the whole process in the next TikTok follow-up. Since no one believes me that McDonald's sells cake, and by the way, she's in Omaha, Nebraska, so who knows what's going to happen at your location. She shows the receipt, chocolate birthday cake, and look at the box it shows up. Chocolate cake used through February 22nd, 2021. And it's a nondescript white box. And she's in the car shivering over here, and she unboxes it, and there it is. So it looks believable to me. There you guys go. And it's Ronald McDonald again. So at least in this location, possibly others, I think if it goes viral on TikTok, now you got people walking into all kinds of McDonald's asking for the chocolate cake.
Would you try it?
Yeah, of course I would try it. I mean, what's not to try? I mean, I'm going to try a chocolate cake.
You should go ask for it up here.
Go ask for it over here and see what they say.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see if we can track one down, see if we can find one. Maybe we'll have a little birthday celebration, even though it's nobody's birthday.